Fired up to jump on the Rude Guest Hotline and talk to our friend, Mr. John Keim. Keim, it's always good when all the focus is on a preseason game. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Let's address the nonsense first. What, if anything, have you thought of with the Jayden Daniels LSU situation?
Well, there's a couple things. One, what we know is like this is a situation that's been going on for a little while, right? And like that letter was sent 10 days ago, just about, and he's so far had his best camp in Washington. So there's one, right? Like I think we know enough of him to know like he's not he lets other people handle outside business and just focus on that. So will this be a distraction? I don't know, but I think so far for him, it hasn't been. I think that's one thing. The other thing is, I'd say a little bit of perspective on this. Like I understand like image stuff and all that stuff. The Seahawks just signed Terry and Arnold.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I just as a level of keeping the perspective on it, not to like minimize anything or you know, all the furor over it, whatever. But it's just more like, okay, here's a little bit of perspective. Like, we're talking about a cease and desist letter, which whether or not, you know, people can debate whether or not it should have sent it, whatever. But the Seahawks just signed Terry Arnold, who's got a bunch of charges against him off the field that aren't very good. So
like active charges.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, and I like, again, I think from my perspective, it's more, how does this affect him on the field? Will it affect him on the field? So far it hasn't. Yeah, so far it hasn't. He's a guy that the entire offseason you've heard how, you know, there's an evolution in his maturity. Like he's always mature, but like kind of taking it that next step. And like we've seen all that this summer. So I don't know that that's going to change. I can't say that it will. I can't say it won't, but I'm not expecting that.
I'm with you on that, John.
I don't think it's going to impact Jayden at all. And frankly, considering the fact that we now know it's been going on for close to 2 weeks, Jayden's looked dialed. You know what I mean?
And that's what his message said yesterday. I've been dialed in on football.
Yeah, and like I said, there's other stuff you can debate, you know, what should have done, could have done, whatever. Like there's, you know, hits to the image, whatever it is, right? Like, but I'm going to stay like focus more on like what does it mean for him on the field.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I will let you beat your chest a little about the Ohio State University because I think a lot of this is an LSU thing too. Just the guy that's running it now, how it's been run over the years. There's a college football has become increasingly Wild West all over the place, but that program certainly qualifies.
Oh, it sure does. And I mean, I think we know who, you know, here's the thing too, like they're trying to protect a multi-million-dollar investment at corner. And like, it's kind of hard for me to wrap around guys deciding on a school based on a jersey number. I can understand the dollar number, but you know what I mean? Like, and I get it, but you know, it's not only just not demanding it, but getting it plus the money. And if I don't get this, then I'm going to go somewhere else having already pocketed this. So it's just, it's crazy to think where we are in college football that, it's like this. Yeah, it's crazy.
Man, that money had more to do with it than that damn jersey number. I promise you that. You know, they can say what they want to say. If the number was the end-all, be-all, you would have just taken the damn number, and you wouldn't have asked for no money.
Well, I think if they had put the dollar sign on the 5, he'd have been okay, I'm sure.
Talking with our friend John Keim, ESPN Commanders reporter. Check out the John Keim Report. You can give him a follow at John_Keim, Keim. I'm not expecting Jayden, Terry, Stephon. I don't think anybody that has a jersey that might get sold on the website probably not playing tonight.
Probably not. No, I mean, I'm not anticipating any of the starters playing. Now, maybe there's a couple guys like who you want to get some work. I don't know. Short of that, not anticipating it. We can go back to last year with the Patriots. They had the joint practice, whatever it was, on a Wednesday or Thursday, and then 2 days later the game. None of the starters played, and there are other key reserves who did not. Like Marcus Mariota didn't play in that preseason opener last year either. So, yeah, the other thing too, I mean, and like I said, I can point to last year and say this is probably what they're going to do. Quinn has also kind of made it a point at times in the spring and in the summer about like trying to build that depth.
Right.
Well, they've got a lot of work to do there in some areas. So this is one way to do that, is to give some of these guys a lot of time to truly see what you have. Like there's a veteran like Max Sharpen joined the camp late. Like you need to see what he can do. Does he warrant a spot? Like other guys like that. And then some of the young guys, Howard, Joshua Josephs, Katron Allen, guys like that, Antonio Williams, like does he play? So I think you want to see some of that. But yeah, I'm not expecting the starters to play.
You think we see some some field goals from distance tonight?
Geez, I think you better hope so, right? I mean, I think that's becoming an interesting one. And I think what we've seen in camp is that Drew Stevens, outside of one day, has been more consistent. So far.
Yeah, Stevens has been better so far. I think if I was DQ tonight, we are not aggressive on fourth down. We're kicking. Just let get as many shots as you can.
Yeah, I definitely want to see because it's one thing. I mean, they're having him kick a lot in practice.
Yeah.
But you also, how do you handle game operation? Because now there's a little bit more on the line, and that's, how
under
you
the lights.
That.
Yeah, because
exactly.
like if you even against the Dolphins, you didn't have a full rush.
Right.
They were just putting their hands up, but now they're going to be going for it.
And one of the things, and I talked to Jake Moody about this in the spring, like why? Because we know, like sometimes it takes kickers a couple of years to develop, right? Like, why is that? In his mind, it was in college, you're not kicking with the same kind of pressure you are in the NFL. Like you could, if you're at a top D1 school, you're going to be winning a lot of games handily. So your missed kick or made kick may not make the difference in the game. And if you miss a few, do they have a guy behind you on scholarship or whatever that can challenge you for the job? Probably not. Mm-hmm. In the NFL, you're a couple kicks away from being out on the street. So the pressure is different. Now, how do you handle that? And so far, Stevens has been pretty good with that in practice. Let's see how it goes in a game.
Keim, you think Sonny plays tonight? I think certainly Antonio Williams, Katron Allen, Josh Josephs. I'm really excited to see Allen and Josephs. But I'm curious with Styles and maybe even a little with Williams.
Yeah, I don't know about Sonny because that's why I say like most I would say would not play. He's one I wonder about because do you want to get him some more reps in a game, right? But he did do a lot the other day. And so sometimes like that's the determining factor. Did you see enough? And I don't know, but he would be the one I'd wonder about. And I'd say with Williams too, I'd want to see a little bit more just going up against different coverages in a game setting to see how he handles that. Because I can understand like a lot of the other starters, right? Diggs, Terry, Jayden, whatever. But some of the young guys, like they don't have any experience and you have a tough schedule to start. You kind of want to get up to speed. You want to learn as much about them as possible, in my mind. So I don't know if they'll play, but if they did, I think it's with good reason.
Yeah, and they seem to have a lot of positions, a lot of different positions where they have a lot of competition. Which one you think is going to be the one that's like the most prevalent tonight?
Well, I'm really curious to see with the receivers too, because to me, like you're gonna cut someone probably that easily would have made the roster last year, easily.
Yeah.
And so like who jumps out there? They have a couple of young guys there, Jalen Bradley. I think it would be tough for him to win a spot given the competition there. But does he start to make some noise at all? Right? And he's had a nice camp. But I think it's really like who are some of those guys? Van Jefferson is he? Where does he stack up in this? And I would expect a veteran to look pretty good in the summer in these kind of games. Yeah. But still, that's to me is an interesting spot. Then I also want to see is the I think safety rotation for sure. I think that's like Quan, Percy Butler, Tyler Owens, those guys, like they're fighting for spots. And then the offensive line, like more so, less the rotation than how is Matt Golden developing? Do you have guards that you can trust who are backups at this point? Julian Good-Jones playing center, like how does he look if assuming he plays, right? So, and to be honest, he should. He said he's played 2 snaps in the NFL in his career. You need to get him out there, in my mind, but, we'll see. Since right now he's technically the starting center with Allegretti out. So
I think Coleman too, all of a sudden he's your starting left tackle, but would you like him to get more work at left tackle? I think this is a really telling year for AP's 24 Adam Peters' 2024 draft class, right?
Yeah.
And we all know what Jayden is. The number 2 overall pick was a hit. You nailed that one,
yeah,
sir.
Yeah.
After that, it's a lot of questions. Johnny Newton, Ben Sennett, Luke McCaffrey, Coleman. I think we'll see a lot of those guys tonight. I think we should see a lot of those guys tonight. And you'd like to see those guys start taking steps.
Well, I think the other thing too, if Coleman and if let's say Good Jones plays because you want to get him more experience or whatever, then you put Chris Paul out there, right? Because that group needs to work together as well, at least especially Coleman and Paul in those respective spots. So, but yeah, I agree with you. That 24 class is to me they're as crucial to this team's development as anything, just because can they elevate their contributions? I think in a lot of ways, Ben Sinnott can block, he can help you as a blocker. Does he develop as a pass catcher at all this year in an offense that he and others feel is better suited for him? Luke McCaffrey, does he take a step up, or is he just a special teamer, 5th or 6th receiver type, right? So I think, and Johnny Newton, are we going to see? So I think that is a key, and missing on that is tough. Now it's funny because the Patriots, I think from that same class, only have 2 guys left in their class too, which is I don't know what's going on with that class, but these guys need more contributions from that group to really, I think, elevate their play.
Agreed, man. Agreed. What do you find as the most intriguing, maybe not position battle, but roster battles as we get into these preseason games? The depth at receiver, you mentioned Van Jefferson already. I think Van's had a really good summer.
Yeah, he has.
They're making it tough on these coaches.
What do you see? We'll start with the receiver position.
Yeah, because that's a hard one because obviously Terry, Stephon Diggs, Antonio Williams. Trey Burks has had a good summer. Jalen Lane is a very good punt returner. Luke McCaffrey can return kicks, and he's actually had probably his best summer too, right?
Yeah.
And how much of this is them versus the offense as well? This offense is creating more openings for certain passes than we saw all of last summer, right? So there's another one. And then De'Ami Brown, tight with good chemistry with Jayden, tight with Jayden, but he can play special teams. So, you have guys who can do things and also play special teams. That's the one thing I like. Is there someone, whether it's this group or somewhere else, do you have trade possibilities? Or if not, then is special teams a decider? Because with Van Jefferson, that's not what he's done. Yeah. De'Ami, again, can play special teams. Luke McCaffrey, special teams. Jalen Lane, special teams.
I think that special teams thing is going to tell you a lot on both sides of the football.
It always does, man. It always does. And so that's why I wonder with Van where he stacks up. And again, I say that, and he'd have been a lock last year.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy to think the bottom of the receiver room now versus the bottom of the receiver room last year. It is crazy to think about.
Yeah. And listen, man. The top 2, but also it was bad, and it's why it was hard to oftentimes get a read on just exactly where was the secondary last year, because you knew you weren't seeing a group that they were going to face in games. Mm-hmm. With Terry out and obviously Noah Brown being out, also took away another guy who could at least do some things against you, right? Especially Terry. So you didn't see that. After that, without McLaurin, who's challenging you like that? Nobody. Yeah. And Debo was productive, but he's not your traditional receiver. So you didn't get a great read. It's kind of a false read sometimes. And, with this group, you're going to get a better read on where everybody's at. But it's also they're just better. It's just better. And I also think that the offense does contribute to that. And just the way, they create a lot of movement, some false eyes, get your eye. So there's a lot that goes into that helps, but this is better.
How much of a battle you think this third quarterback position will be, or will there be another person come from somewhere else?
Third QBX.
Oh, I don't know. And I think, I don't know. That to me is a practice squad battle at this point. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be awfully hard. I think if you want to keep 7 receivers, for example, 4 tight ends, et cetera, 4 running backs, right? It'd be really hard to keep 3 quarterbacks on the 53. And, unless something in a game, if if Kelly Monis has some couple of really good games, like, you know what, you may have to keep him because he's just played well enough to warrant a spot. Short of that, I would think either Hartman or Kelly Monis. And, we've seen Hartman the last couple of years. I think he's had a better camp this year than he's in his past two. What that means, I don't know, because let's see it in the games. Like, that's when you want to see it. But it has looked, I think the quarterback position overall, just top to bottom, has looked better, certainly than it did last year for a lot of reasons. But, I don't know. That one, it's like, it's fine. But I don't know if they'd add a third one. It depends on which veteran comes available, if any.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think, is Jeff Driscoll even in a camp? They certainly like Jeff Driscoll, and we've seen that twice.
Yeah. In case of emergency, break glass.
Right, exactly. Talking with our friend John Keim here on the Rude Guest Hotline. Give John a follow at John_Keim. Read all of his work about the Commanders at ESPN.com. You mentioned something that I totally agree with, and that's keeping 4 tight ends. I think Yankoff has played to a level that forces him on the roster. I even think the roster squeeze is going to happen if you do have to end up releasing Cager. I almost think he could get picked up the way he's played, but we've seen him play well now for a couple camps. Mm-hmm. I very much believe Chig is going to be the leading receiver among the tight ends. But if you look at like the way this offense is modeled and the amount of times we see multiple tight end sets on the field, I think there's going to be a second tight end that emerges with like 35, 40 catches and 350, 40 yards. I think that's an interesting battle kind of between Sennett and Yankoff. Yeah,
and Yankoff's had a really good camp. And the one advantage for Sennett is that he's more of a blocker.
Yep.
Or he's more help as a blocker. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that Yankoff shies from that. It's just that Sennett has a bit of an edge there. But as a receiver, Yankoff moves really well. Very good athletic. I had one coach tell me he's had as good an offensive camp as anybody.
Yeah.
And you see like
quarterback.
I think the quarterbacks trust him. He's got that, is a phrase from the past. He's got a wide catch radius, baby. But he does, and he's made multiple one-handed catches, and and I think he's athletic. He can run well too. So I don't know, can you how much work can you get him? I don't know. I know he's had a really good camp. That's what I know, and. But yeah, I think that's a good position for the. You're right, like Cager. I think in other years, I put him on there, but I think Yankoff is always kind of, I think he also can play special teams too. I think Cager could too, but I think Yankoff does well there as well. So, but yeah, he's had a good camp, man.
He has. Anybody you're really excited to watch tonight? Kind of get your first look in game action.
I want to see the running backs, Katron Allen.
Yep.
I think just because you see little things here and there, but it's really hard to tell with them until you get in these games. And I want to see does that inside run game, can they start to get something going in there? So I think he's one for sure. Joshua Josephs to me, he's intriguing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As a guy that okay, maybe this year he's not going to be that guy. You don't need him to be, but can he develop? And where is he at? So guys like that, those are two that really kind of jump out for sure because they're younger guys, a little bit more. I want to see Antonio Williams. Does he play? And if so, what does he do? Because we see him dust guys at times in those one-on-ones. How does it translate to 11-on-11 against another team? Yeah, and so that's because sometimes as there's little nuances of playing receiver that can separate, especially when you're depending on the coverage you're facing and how you sit in the zone, how you do this, how you do that. Those are all the little things that are next step for him. We see the quickness off the line, we see the ability, and so what does it look for him? But Allen especially, I really want to see because we just haven't gotten a great read on what some of those guys can do because you don't see enough live tackling in training camps.
Last thing, John, because this is not a young guy, but a player we would probably see tonight is Jeremy McNichols.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him in a couple days. I don't expect him tonight because. Do we know what that situation is?
Quad.
Okay.
And it's They're not sure yet, as of when was it, yesterday or Wednesday night, whatever. Not sure yet of the timetable. So that's what we know with him. And he's a guy they've always liked.
He can do everything.
Do a number of,
Yep.
Yeah, he can do everything, and he does it. He's just a good pro and a good guy to have around. I mean, I go back to that Bengals game a couple years ago. Jaden's pass to Terry, great pass, great catch. It doesn't happen without his block, and those things matter.
Yeah.
He can fill in wherever you need him. Special teamer, but it's quad, and I don't know when he's coming back.
He is. If it's 3rd and 11, nobody in the NFL better getting you 12. His catch to first down numbers are insane.
Yeah.
We got a boogie, Johnny.
All right, Jay,
we'll see you in
appreciate you, brother.
Landover.
Thanks, guys.
All right, man. It's our friend John Keim. Give him a follow at John_Keim, Keim. Read his work at ESPN.com.